Alright guys, so it's almost time for spring training games to begin. In exactly 10 days that will start. So I think it's time for my early predictions for the MLB. We'll start in the American League Central Division, my favorite division. My three favorite teams playing here: Chicago, Cleveland, and Kansas City. Now, the AL Central was won by the Tigers pretty handily, but the Indians made second place and followed closely behind by Kansas City. In fourth place, the Twins, and then in fifth, the White Sox. I think the AL Central is a promising division. I mean, if you look at Kansas City, Detroit, Chicago, Cleveland, even Minnesota's got some bright spots in Willingham and Mauer. I think that at AL Central this year is going to come down to the younger players on each team. Most of the teams in the AL Central are based on young players. The oldest team really is the Detroit Tigers. I mean, other than that, it's a young division. Um, I think Kansas City is the youngest team, along with Minnesota, but it's going to be a division up for grabs now ever since Prince Fielder left. And the thing is, the key is going to be if Detroit's pitching can't keep up with the rest of the pitching in the division, then they lose their crown as division champions. I really think it's going to come down to the pitching side because almost every team has the offensive edge. So, who do I think the division MVP is going to be this year? I think it's going to go to Detroit and Justin Verlander. I think Verlander is going to have to carry the Tigers far, and he's going to have to get them in the race now that Fielder is gone and some run support disappears. Ian Kinsler is a great player, but an aging veteran, so we'll see what happens there. For my division standings in the AL Central, 1, Cleveland. I think Cleveland has a squad of young guys. If they can figure out the pitching rotation, it's going to be a force to reckon with. Number 2, Detroit. I think Detroit's still going to have it. They still got some run support, to get into a wild card spot. Followed by the third team, Kansas City. Kansas City's not going to change at all in their place. I just, don't think they're consistent enough. I was really excited for the Royals last year, but I mean, they just kind of fell flat because of inconsistency. Consistency is a major factor in baseball, and if you want to be a great team, you got to have that. And the Royals did not last year. And fourth, we have the Chicago White Sox. Only won 63 games last year. I think they'll be in the 70 mark this year. But, before they can get rid of the major contracts of Adam Dunn and all those other guys, then they can start making a major push. And in fifth, Minnesota. Minnesota's a rebuilding effort, so don't expect a lot out of them. Excuse me. Now we move over to the American League West. This division, I think, is going to be an interesting one this year due to Prince Fielder going to Texas and all the other moves, especially Seattle, who I think is going to be the bust team of 2014. So let's talk about 2013 for the American League West. Was won by the Oakland Athletics, followed by the Rangers, who were followed by the Angels, followed by the Mariners, and then in last place, the Astros. I think the A's surprise people every year with Josh Donaldson and Yoenis Cespedes leading the charge over there. But I think the A's are going to have taken a hit ever since they lost Grant Balfour to Tampa Bay. They're going to need a better closer after Balfour left. And in Texas, now with Prince Fielder, I wonder what it's going to be like there. They're going to pose a threat again to make a race for the playoffs. They did lose in the tiebreaker for the second wild card spot to Tampa Bay, so they came close. Los Angeles, they've been kind of the bust team for 2 years. They got David Freese now, who could help them. The Angels, we always expect, big things out of them, but they just fall short. I mean, Pujols in 2012, Hamilton in 2013, so. And then Seattle, Robinson Cano, Corey Hart, and returning Felix Hernandez. They're going to be a threat, but I just don't think they're going to pan out. It's not going to be their year this year. And then finally, the Houston Astros. They have the best farm system, but it's not time for them to, make that switch. Who's the division MVP? You, Darvish, again. I think you can really carry Texas's pitching staff. Now, here's the standings. In first place, we have the Texas Rangers. They acquired that needed boost to get them in the first in the division. And Oakland lost Grand Belfort, which I think is going to be their downfall. And second, we have the Los Angeles Angels. I think this is going to be the year where it all falls together, where it all comes together. I think they're going to make a push for the wild card spot. And, I think we're going to see some great numbers out of Trout. And third, the Oakland Athletics. They still have Cespedes and Donaldson and all those other guys leading the charge, but I'm not sure that they're going to have enough relief out of the bullpen to make a push. They might be a wild card contender, but all I see out of them is third place in the division. Fourth place, we have the Seattle Mariners. I just think they're not going to be able to make a push. I think it's going to all fall apart like the Angels did last year. I mean, Iwakuma and Hernandez are bright spots, and Cano and Corey Hart also, but I just don't think it's enough. Well, it's enough, but I don't think it's going to work. I don't think they have enough chemistry. I just don't see Seattle making a charge this year. Maybe in a couple of years from now, but I just don't see it. And then in last place, we have the Houston Astros. They're talented, but they just don't have it yet. I mean, Jose Altuve is short, but reminds me a bit of Master Yoda because he's a good player. Don't underestimate him by his size. He can be a nice contact hitter, a nice leadoff, or number 3 hitter. He's going to be the centerpiece replacement for Craig Biggio that they've been looking for. And now we move over to the East, won by the division or by the world champion Red Sox. The Red Sox, they got AJ Pierzynski, which was, I think, their biggest move. They're going to have to compete with the Yanks again. And don't forget about Tampa Bay, who's always involved. And also the Orioles. Adam Jones, Chris Davis. They lost Brian Roberts, but they have some other guys that can do stuff. Matt Wieters can be a good guy behind the plate. So let's take a look back on each team's season. The Red Sox, fueled by the Boston Marathon bombings. They go all the way Boston strong from David Ortiz saying this is our fucking city to October winning the World Championship. And it was just a great story. A team that only won 63 games, I think, in 2012 under Bobby Valentine. Wasn't that good. And it was disastrous. They broke their sellout streak. They were so bad. But, it all came out in the end. And in 2013, they won it all. So, they had a good year. The Baltimore Orioles, they had a great year. I mean, I kind of fell apart in August and September because they're a power hitting team. I mean, power's their main game with Chris Davis, coming in the front, leading that. Adam Jones leading it off, strong. But I don't think the Orioles will have any different of a year this year. I think we're going to see some power hitting, some great hits, big doubles, extra base hits. We're not going to see any major base hits. They're not going to be the contact team that Buck Showalter first envisioned them as. So we go over the Tampa Bay. The Rays, eliminated by Boston in the American League Division Series, beat Cleveland in the wild card game. You know, they're a threat. Grant Belfour's there. You know, I mean, if his knee's alright, he could be a decent closer for them. And, Toronto. Jose Bautista, Joey Bats. I mean, I don't expect a lot of something good this year. They might be our surprise team, though. Keep an eye out for them. Mark Burley's a good pitcher. You know, they got some good pitchers there. And finally, the Yankees finished disappointingly towards the bottom of the division. Didn't do much. Finished, I think, in 4th place. I mean, but they made a push. They got Beltran, Brian McCann, Brian Roberts, you know, a bunch of other pitchers. Re-signed Hiroki Kuroda. You know, I think they can be a threat again. But, I mean, they'll be where they are usually. You know, in the ALCS and knocked out, I think. Derek Jeter announcing he's retiring, so that's going to be some emotional fuel for this team, but I don't really expect them having any trouble in the regular season. I think they'll, like it recently, have trouble in the postseason. Just hitting the ball, I think. So, my division predictions. In first place, we have the New York Yankees. I think it's their year to really make a push and, you know, make something happen and get in first place in the division and really get into the playoffs but have troubles. Second place, I was torn between the Red Sox and the Orioles. I'm going to have to go with the Red Sox. I mean, they have most of their key main factors and leaders. You know, Napoli and Johnny Gomes and Ortiz. I'm sorry, Ortiz. You know, they have a lot of guys that can still make just, plus the addition of Brzezinski, you know, to be their second catcher or first, depending on what happens to Napoli. Third place, we have the Tampa Bay Rays falling short to the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles, I think they're going to have the same year pretty much, filled with power and extra base hits, but falling short in relief, just like Jim Johnson. They don't really have any threats in the bullpen. That's going to be their downfall. And fourth, the Tampa Bay Rays. They're going to put together a fight, but I just don't see them, you know, getting close to the top. I see them near towards the bottom. And Toronto in last. They might have a decent year, but I just don't see them making a surprise push or anything. And the division MVP, I think, is going to be on the Yankees, Brian McCann. I think he's going to push a lot for the Yankees. And I forgot to mention Masahiro Tanaka. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of him. Will we get Yu Darvish, or will we get, you know, another pitcher? Will we get, you know, a bust pitcher from Japan that the Yankees usually seem to get? I mean, it's just a fact, mere a fact, that the Yankees don't do well with Japanese players. They got Hideki Matsui. He was a pretty good guy there, but really there isn't a lot. So this is part 1. Part 2 is going to be out real quickly. So, you know, I'm excited for this 2014 season. It's going to be a lot better than last year. See you guys later.